Hello again. I bet it wouldn't come as a surprise to you to hear that ADHD can make even really good relationships turn into distressed marriages. But the examples I've seen in books or heard about in lectures on marriage and ADHD always seem to involve pretty extreme cases of adult ADHD. Hidden ADHD, however, which is much more common, can also cause major marital problems, especially because so often it hasn't been diagnosed. And so both spouses have no idea what's causing the problems that are hurting the relationship. I work with lots of couples where one or both people have hidden ADHD. In this video, I'm going to talk about the common problem patterns that affect these marriages. But first, let me tell you about marriages in general. Contrary to what you may think, marital problems at their heart are not about money or sex or chores or children or in-laws. They're about an emotional disconnect, a tear in the fabric of the bond between the two people that neither person in the couple can figure out how to repair. So it gets wider and wider, making both spouses feel more and more hopeless and alone. The things I'm sharing in this video are based on the work of Dr. Sue Johnson, a psychologist and researcher based in Ottawa, Ontario. From her pioneering research and clinical work in the 1990s, she developed emotionally focused couples therapy, or EFT, which has revolutionized the field of couples counseling. EFT is now the most scientifically validated form of couples counseling, and thousands of therapists around the world, including me, have been trained in the method. If you want to learn more about it, you can read one of her 2 international best-selling books on the topic, Hold Me Tight, which is sort of a DIY for EFT, and Love Sense. Everyone, men and women, want basically the same thing from their life partner. They want to feel safe and secure with that person. They want to feel that this is the person who truly has their back when the chips are down. The person they know is really going to be there for them, physically and emotionally, when they need it the most. What this looks like on a day-to-day basis is that when you feel like something's gone wrong, your life partner comes through by being accessible, responsive, and engaged. Accessible means reachable. You can get a hold of them. Responsive means that you can tell by the way they respond to you that they understand what you're feeling and they care about you. And engaged means that they're actively involved in your life. You're not alone. In the beginning, it may feel as though you've found the one person in the world who will never let you down. But inevitably, one day something happens that makes you feel like, hey, this relationship isn't as safe and secure as you thought. Then you're going to do exactly what you're hardwired to do. You're going to get upset. You're going to protest. And when you do that, if the relationship is healthy, your partner is going to understand what's going on and is going to work to repair the tear. Oh, you two may have a fight first. This is the part of the movie where for some reason the guy is always walking in the middle of the night in the pouring rain. But then you come back together, you kiss and make up, and your relationship is all right again. Maybe stronger than before. Lather, rinse, repeat. You can do this a lot, but as long as you can repair the tears, your relationship is what's called secure. But what if you can't repair it? What if the more you try, the worse it gets? What if your partner, instead of understanding your feelings and your needs, feels threatened for some reason, or overwhelmed, or if the saying that he or she will simply doesn't come through? Well, now you have a real rip in your relationship. At first, the two of you sweep it under the rug. But the next time a similar conflict happens, both spouses remember the last time, and the conflict is worse. And if it doesn't get fixed this time, the rip gets wider and wider, and now you've got two people who, each in their own way, are starting to feel more and more disconnected and alone. In couples affected by hidden ADHD, The most common pattern I see goes something like this. The spouse with ADHD does some totally common ADHD mistake for the umpteenth time, like pick up his kid from baseball practice 20 minutes late. His neurotypical wife gets angry again and says for the umpteenth time, "How could you?" Since this has happened so many times already, she says, "You just don't care," because to her, that's the only reason that makes any sense anymore. People who don't have ADHD rarely make mistakes like this over and over again when something really matters to them. The spouse with hidden, undiagnosed ADHD says, "I do care, I do." But the spouse without it answers, "No, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't keep doing this." The ADD spouse knows absolutely that they care a lot, but they can't explain, even to themselves, why they do these things either. The neurotypical spouse, however, has lost patience. All the little ways the spouse with ADHD is not getting better, month after month, year after year, at dealing with their ordinary complicated life, maybe even getting worse at it, makes the one without ADHD feel more and more overwhelmed and alone. But they're also feeling forced to pick up all the slack, so they're angry. They don't understand why, no matter how many times they've expressed what they need, their spouse isn't coming through more. They feel abandoned and they're panicking, but at the same time they're getting angrier and angrier. Eventually the fight leads to, "What's wrong with you?" The spouse with undiagnosed ADHD has no answer because they honestly don't know. They know they love their spouse and their kids, but practically every day their spouse expresses disappointment in them and they feel like failures. They may be falling behind and getting criticized at work as well, and so they feel like a failure there also. So they start to withdraw and avoid and shut down. As inattentive symptoms worsen, they may seem far away in their own world, and they may have to be asked to do the same thing 8 or 9 times. This really annoys and scares their spouse. Their spouse starts to yell a lot in order to get through and say things like, "I can't reach you, I can't reach you anymore." The spouse with ADHD, trying to prevent their spouse from feeling even more upset and disappointed, they start trying to hide their mistakes and screw-ups and all the things that they should have done but have been procrastinating. Then, when they're caught, that erodes trust even more. That's often the way it goes. If this has been going on for years, repairing it takes time, but it can be done. It can be repaired. As long as there still is love, hidden ADHD does not have to kill your marriage. I know it can be healed because I've seen it happen. In future clips, I will focus on specific problems that occur in marriages affected by ADHD and tips on how to handle them. Stay tuned.